Welcome to Down the Garden Path. I'm your host, Joanne Shaw, landscape designer and plant lover. I enjoy discussing down-to-earth tips and advice to help you seasonally manage your garden and landscape, and I also aim to bring you interesting and relevant topics to educate you all about the landscaping and horticultural industry. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Down the Garden Path podcast. Thank you for joining me here today. Today, I am welcoming Maddie House with Bloomin Easy Plants. She's going to tell us all about Bloomin Easy and about some new and exciting varieties that are available this year. And her job is to help millennials fall in love with plants. She focuses on making gardening feel fun and approachable. And when she's not talking plants, she's usually planning her next trip, like me, testing out a new garden trend or convincing friends that, yes, they can keep a plant alive. Welcome to the show, Maddie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are you that go-to person for your friends?
I am very much so. And it's funny because I didn't actually start in the horticulture industry. My background's in art history and in marketing. So since working at this job, I've learned so much, and now I'm the go-to resource for all things plants.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And it really is the right plant in the right spot, right? It's not as difficult as people make it out to be.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as it has the right sun requirements and enough space to grow, then you should be good to go.
Excellent. Excellent. And Maddie is joining us from Abbotsford, British Columbia. So she's on the west coast. I'm on the east coast. She's on the west coast. So why don't we start off by you telling our listeners a little bit about Bloomin Easy Plants and what their piece of the pie is in how the plants get to homeowners.
Yeah, so the brand was started about 14 years ago now by Devon Friesen. He's still the founder of the company, is still working very heavily with Bloomin Easy. It all got started because he saw a gap in the market that nobody was feeding to the young homeowner, the casual gardener, the person who didn't know how to garden but still wanted a beautiful space. So from that, the brand developed into this idea that anyone can garden, and from that we developed all of these tools to go along with all of these plants. So our tools are, we have care reminders. So on all of our tags, you can scan the QR code and sign up for care reminders. You get an email right away and showing you how to plant your plant. As easy as that. How deep does the hole need to be? Those are simple questions that we get regularly that people who don't know how to garden don't know how to do. So we start with the very basics. We also have an app that is our care reminder system all wrapped into that. We have our chatbot, Miss Diggs, so 24-hour help online. So if you have any questions about gardening, she is there to help you. And then we have launched virtual reality for our plants, augmented reality, for our plants. So you can see what they're going to look like in your garden, in your space, in their full mature form. So we're trying to do everything we can to help that new gardener, that young homeowner who wants that beautiful space but doesn't know where to start. And it all starts with the genetics of the plants. So
Yes.
Bloomin Easy, the brand, works with breeders all over the world, mostly in Europe, mostly in the Netherlands, to find genetics that are easier to grow, that are more compact, disease resistant, extended flowering, all of those things that people want in their yard. So we go to Europe, we meet with the breeders, we pick out some genetics that we like, we bring them back to our farm here in Abbotsford. We trial them anywhere from 3 years to 10 years. It's quite a long process.
Yeah.
And then if we find some that we like, we take them and we work with the breeder and we start getting cuttings. And then at our young plants farm here, it's our first step at Valley Young Plants. They take those cuttings, make little baby plants, take those baby plants, ship them to finished container growers, and then those finished containers get sent to garden centers.
Excellent. So there's a lot in the process, isn't there? From that, and when you said that about the genetics, like that's just so fascinating, right? You're creating little baby plants, and that's how they're created. So the most interesting thing is your company isn't really growing anything.
No, so all we grow is our trial plants. Everything else we work with our propagators, and then they grow it and then ship it out. And then from each little plant that gets grown, a royalty goes back to the breeder.
Excellent. Okay. And so are your propagators all in British Columbia, or do you have propagators kind of all over Canada?
We actually have one propagator in Canada, and then the rest are in the US. So we're all over
Okay.
North America.
Okay. So your plants are sold all over North America.
They are.
Excellent. So then they go from the propagators. So even then, the propagators are just creating little baby plants that then go
To a finished container grower. So
okay.
those little baby plants then get potted up into 1s, 2s, 3-gallon pots. Will get finished, and then the finished container then gets shipped in stores.
Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, so I think it's great for our listeners to know the process before those blue pots. So these are the blue Blooming Easy pots that you will see in your garden center. And I think all around the world, everybody's wanting to shop local, right? And we don't know. So I think it's when you look at the pot, it doesn't matter whether you're buying it from a big box store or your local garden center. It's it's really all the same plant, right? And it comes.
Yeah, that is correct. So the grower closest to your, pretty much the grower, whoever is closest to your garden center, will be supplying that garden center. So you are known that they are grown local, they are grown in your climate. So you have a better chance of success than plants that sometimes come up from California to the West Coast, and we know they're not going to grow very well here, but having something that you know is grown locally will definitely give you a better chance of success.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I think we do have, it's completely different but similar analogy is that, BC grows a lot of cedars and then ships them to Ontario, and then Ontario can't figure out why the cedars aren't growing very well. It's because they're not used to the winter or our freeze and thaw. It's not even just winter, the cold. I think if it just stayed cold, they'd probably be fine. But here we get much more of a freeze and thaw. So they're not as hardy because they were not grown locally, right? I think there's other plants, some other evergreens that tend to be a little bit more tender because they were grown, maybe in the States, not necessarily southern states, but even Oregon, places that seem like they have the same climate as Ontario, but not every year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is knowing that your plant is going to survive. If it's too tender, then there's no hope. So work
Right.
within your zones. That's a big thing we get questioned a lot. Know your zone, prepare for that, and buy within your zone.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's huge. Buy within your zone. And when you see, so I want our listeners to know when you see that pot, regardless of where you're finding it and the plant, of course, there's a plant. We're not just buying the pot, but those lovely plants. No, I think you can get the confidence that it was grown locally. It was shipped from nearby. It wasn't shipped, thousands of miles away. So I think that's something I mean, I know it, but I felt like there was still a percentage where they were shipped in. And so I'm hearing more and more, I'm being more and more confident myself about plants. And I think that's great because I do spend time at that grower. I pick a lot of plants. And so now I've seen behind the scenes a little bit too of them, how they I saw the stuff they put to bed last year that will be plants for this year, that type of thing. So I'm lucky that way. But I think I wanted to really encourage our listeners and gardeners to know, have the confidence that especially in Canada and locally all over Canada, your plants are grown nearby.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And our core category of plants, we have been known as kind of a northern brand because all of our plants are a little bit hardier than the general in other brands. So that also gives you a little bit more confidence that if we say it's a zone 3 rose, it really is a zone 3 rose. We've tested it in the middle of
Okay.
Canada in the coldest winters to make sure that they do survive.
Yeah, they do. And you mentioned Netherlands. Do you feel like the Netherlands has the closest, like they're known for growing, obviously. So that's one thing. But is it just that because they're so famous, the propagators and or the developers there, or is the climate kind of comparable?
No, I wouldn't say the climate is comparable. It is mostly just because that is where the biggest horticulture industry is,
Yeah.
which is why we bring the plants back here and trial them for such a long time to make sure that they are a zone, whatever zone that they claim to be, and that they will survive, especially our northern climate. We call it Dutch magic when we go over there and we see the plants over there, because their climate is so amazing that everything looks amazing. So we have to bring it back and make sure that it is working for us in this climate, because they are quite different.
Yes. Yes, the Dutch don't just grow tulips, right?
Oh no, they have quite a wide range, and it's quite a sight to see.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I find it fascinating that if you were to look into all the family growers in North America, they're usually Dutch.
They are, yeah, the Van Bels are Dutch, and that's where the
That's
farm
right.
I'm on right now.
Yeah, there are Dutch heritage or Dutch immigrants that have come, and so yeah, so I think it shows you, right, that it's really instilled into their DNA, I think, about growing things.
Oh yes, very much so.
Excellent. You mentioned a little bit about the tools on your website, and I did check out some. So Miss Diggs, so is that because AI is just really kind of coming up, but have you been has Miss Diggs been around for a while?
She's been around, I'm going to say 3 years.
Oh,
I think we
okay.
launched her 3 years ago at Cultivate, which is a trade show in the summer in Columbus, Ohio. I'm pretty sure that's when we launched her. I think it's been 3 years.
Okay. And what has the reception been?
It's been really good. I think it's actually, we've had a lot of comments that garden center staff use it a lot. Because as we know, garden center staff is pretty seasonal, so they aren't always up on all of the new products right away as soon as they start. So it's nice to have that little tool in her hand. And yes, she is designed for Bloomin Easy, but she can answer questions about other varieties as well if it's not something we have in our collection.
Oh, that's good.
So it's just kind of a nice overall tool that anyone can use, but we have seen a lot of garden center staff using it, which has been fun.
That is good. That is really good. I will have to let my local people know, because I find it hard to go, as someone who's knowledgeable, when I go to a garden center and people are getting advice that I know is to be wrong, or let's say, not up to par or whatever. It's so hard, right? So yeah, so I think that's cool to know that. And so even if our listeners are shopping and going to a garden center looking for a particular plant, then you can have Miss Diggs on your phone. And yes, there's lots of AIs, and we'll have Google and everything on our phone, but something that's more plant specific, to use that as a good tool.
Yeah, and we've backed her with all of our information, all of the information that we share publicly with everyone, and it's also backed by quite a few universities. So we know that whatever she's telling is scientifically correct, because sometimes AI can mess up, and sometimes there's too many answers, too many options, so that we just wanted to make sure that we're giving the simplest, most streamlined response, so as to not confuse people.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about I was able to, so how this call came about was I met Maddie's coworker at Landscape Ontario Congress in January, and he was kind of showing and had samples of some of the new plants that are coming out this year. And so I was excited to talk about those. So tell me, and well, first, let me step back. So I could always use another hydrangea. So I'm so excited about that hydrangea. We'll talk about it in a second. But do you look for, several of them were, boxwood replacements. So is that something that, several years ago you guys started to pivot because you saw this coming with this boxwood issue?
Yes, yeah. So boxwood blight is obviously a huge issue that every grower is facing, every homeowner is facing. So it has been a little bit of a race to who can find the best boxwood replacement among all of the brands. So we put our hand in with Bloombucks. It's a rhodo. It's a small leaf rhodo is essentially what it is. It has a very boxwood-like look, but it blooms,
Yes.
which is really cool. So we have two colors. We have the magenta and the light pink. I'm personally fond of the light pink. I just love how sweet it looks when it's blooming. So you get the flowers early in the season, and then for the rest of the year, it just looks like a boxwood, and it is shapeable and trimmable, so you can get that structure that people are looking for in a boxwood. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It came from Europe. It's a very, very popular plant in Europe. And they are using it as a boxwood replacement, so it seemed like a nice transition for us to bring it over here.
Yeah. So when you trim it, are you not affecting next year's bloom?
So you do have to trim it right after it blooms in the spring,
Okay.
so you don't cut off the next season's buds.
Okay. So much like a lilac. So if you're going to prune, you have to prune it right after it blooms and then it's good. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So, so what else? Well, can we talk about bubble bath? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, I know.
Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous.
So this is our newest hydrangea. It is actually a hardy hydrangea, which is really fun because it's a zone 3 to 8, but it's white and it has a feel of a big leaf hydrangea or reblooming hydrangea, kind of that um, mop head feel. And it's low profile, but it is just this solid sphere of blooms. You can hardly see any foliage. We've been watching this for a couple of years, and right away it was very obvious that this was going to be our next star, but we wanted to make sure that it had all the qualities that we promised as Bloomin' so it's not burning, that it's not going to get wild, that it's not going to overgrow its space. And as we've been watching it, we've seen none of those problems, so we're really excited about it. It comes out in this really cool lime green color, and then it fades to a cream. And we called it bubble bath because it looks like a mound of bubbles that would be overflowing your bathtub.
Yeah, that's great. And it is dwarf. It's a compact variety, right?
It is a compact, so 2 to 3 feet tall and wide.
And I think that's huge. I think I think that's the biggest, I feel like overall trend is having those really eye-catching plants, but in a smaller size.
Yes. Yeah, and this is also, it looks really great in a pot, which typically you don't see hardy hydrangeas in a pot, but because of its shape and size, it looks really fabulous in a pot.
Excellent. Oh, I'm excited. And that is a great idea because then you can even put, so for our listeners, if you do want to put, let's say, those in a pot at the front door for the whole season, come the fall, you can keep them in a pot as long as you dig a hole before the ground freezes, of course, and put the plant in the ground for the winter. So even if it's, behind the shed or someplace where you don't see it, as long as you get snow and rain, and then you can use it again the next year, right?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. And especially depending on what zone you live in, here where we are, because we are zone 6, 7, we can just leave it in a pot year round.
Right.
But I know you guys are much cooler, so you'll want to protect it a little bit more.
Yeah. It depends on this. We never know how the season's going to go. So there are sometimes people say, "Oh, I left it in the pot and did fine," but I always say it's a little safer to at least get it in the ground, so that it kind of the roots do kind of go to sleep and moisture too, because the people that leave it in the pot usually forget to water it, right? Like you guys are testing it, and because you're watering it, it's being irrigated. So yeah, so that's something that when you forget about it, right? It still does need a little bit of something for the
It
winter.
does, yeah.
It does. It does. What is another favorite that you have from some of your new varieties, new introductions this year?
So we launched a perennial line now 2 years ago.
Oh,
So we've just started with the perennials, but one of my favorites that we launched, it's new for this year. It's called Forge by Fire. It's a Silene. And it is a beautiful, has this really dark green foliage almost to the purple side, and then just a spray of bright red flowers. And it's an earlier spring flower, so it's such a great one to see pop up early in the spring because it gives such a life to the garden when everything else is still kind of not necessarily waking up, but still hasn't bloomed yet. So
okay.
that one's really fun. And it's just a little guy, 12 to 18 inches, and zone 48.
What is this? Sorry, say the botanical name again.
Silene.
Silene. I'm not familiar with that.
It is native to North America, so
Oh,
which is kind of fun. We don't have a ton of natives in the program, but every time we have the opportunity to introduce one that is an improvement on something that's already out there, we do. Yeah, Silenes aren't a huge category, but this one was definitely a standout just by the amount of flower power. Typically, the
oh,
Silenes are a little bit more wild, and this had a little bit more of a compact
oh,
habit.
that's good because that is kind of a down. I mean, I know everybody's on the native plant um, bandwagon, but for new gardeners, native plants can be, the unruly children of the of the garden, right?
Yeah, they're good to have for, of course, all of the pollinators and everything that you need, but they can get wild and they're
Yeah.
hard to contain.
Yes. Yeah. So you need to have a little bit, little more knowledge and know what you're getting into. So that's great. Excellent. So that is so. Prior to two, you said you introduced perennials 2 years ago. So prior to that, has it just been flowering shrubs?
Yes, yeah, we were just doing flowering shrubs, and then we were getting asked by a lot of our growers to introduce perennials, so the garden center could have more of a range from the Bloomin Easy brand. So we introduced perennials.
Excellent. Excellent. And how did it go? How's it gone the first 2 years? Good?
It's been going really well. Yeah, we've had a really great response to them. People are very excited about it, and of course, they follow the Bloomin Easy plan of being easy to care for, more compact, extended flowering, less disease. Um, So we've been working with some really great breeders who have offered us quite some really awesome genetics. So we've been having a lot of fun with that.
Ooh, I bet. I bet. And the same plant tag, so that with the QR code on the plant tag, that's good.
Yeah.
And obviously the same blue pots.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of our care reminders are with our perennials as well.
Oh, excellent. Oh, I love that. Care minders. It's like little
Yeah.
plant nannies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So the perennials, so 2 years, okay. I'm just looking at your websites when the people look at the video on YouTube and see where's she going, but I'm not disappearing on you. I'm just looking at some of the plants available on the website. And so that's good. So, you please, I will have that in the show notes. You can check out the new varieties that we're talking about. And you can see bubble bath. I see some garden phlox, which are popular, kind of romantic plants, but they can bloom for a long time. So I think they really are important in the garden. And even though they're not native, they do attract pollinators, right?
They do, yes. Yeah. And the two that we have in the program, which we are in a very, very damp environment out on the West Coast here. So powdery mildew is a huge issue. And all through our trialing, we have not seen any powdery mildew. So that was a big plus for those two varieties. And of course, the
Excellent.
color, they're just the sweetest combination of colors.
Yes. Center of attention and confetti cake. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. We name all of our plants. And I always joke that I named one of these phlox after myself, center of attention. So it's been a running joke for a couple of years now.
Okay. Yeah, who gets that fun job of naming plants, eh?
It's quite a battle. Our whole team will have pictures up on the wall in the office, and everyone's contributing. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, so sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, take a sip.
Oh, but yeah, naming plants is a battle of wills. It's we often go head to head, and we all have our name that we like, and we fight to get the one that we want attached to the plant.
Oh, that's great. I see mauve marble. Is it Hebe?
Yes.
So what is that? Is that a perennial?
So that is. Do we have it in our shrub category? It does depend where you are. This is kind of one of those ones that, if it is
I guess
within your zone, then it will be more of a shrub. I'm going to.
I could have clicked right on it, so my apologies. Oh, okay, so zone 7 to 11. So
Yes.
not my zone.
No.
But so I think you were a pink fan where I'm like this blue purple fan.
Yeah, this is a kind of more of a California plant. It does really well in that drier environment. And of course hotter environment. But it's a really cool, it has almost like a kind of a sedum texture to it, the leaves.
Okay.
And then that cute little purple flower.
Yeah, and I love the shape of it. Yeah, so our West Coast dry plant listeners, this is a cute one to check out, mauve marble. So yeah, so that is interesting. And we can never have enough coral bells.
Yes. Yeah, those are fun. We are working on a few different ones to add to the program. But one thing we're looking for is first year flowering. Not all coral bells will flower their first year, or have really interesting flowers. I know a lot of gardeners just chop off the flowers; they're just kind of there. So we've been looking at a lot that have a bigger flower, more Horrific. Can't say.
Florific. More of a punch. More of a punch.
Yeah, more
Yes.
flowers. And that do last a little bit longer. So it's been fun. And the colors that they come in is just,
Yeah.
there's just a whole range of options.
Yeah. I have to confess, I do plant them or include them in landscape designs more for their foliage color and the pop of color than the flower. So I feel like the flower is bonus. If it happens great. And if it doesn't, that's okay because it's still an interesting plant in the garden. So it's nice to know that you have a few that are that you are really choosing for the amount of flower.
And of
Yeah.
course the foliage, yeah, because we do know it is, most people, it is for the foliage, but we figured if you can add that extra little touch by having flowers that are worthy of being seen and not being cut off, then have those included.
Yeah. And now there's just going back to the boxwood concern, you also have an ilex.
We do, yeah. So Ilex marble. This is a great one for boxwood alternative as well because it can be shaped. It is a better option for shaping if you're looking for that really tight shaping than bloom box. We have it in our garden. You can just have those really great straight lines to give that feel, and then same thing, no disease issues.
Excellent, excellent. So we have boxwood blight, which has been around for a while, and right now Ontario's been dealing with boxwood tree moth, which I believe is not in Vancouver, right? We've kept it from BC. That lovely middle provinces and their cold temperatures have kind of blocked you from getting that. And I know that's something that Amafra is well. What's the Canadian? Is there a Canadian plant like disease present? Like they're really working, right? To not.
Yes. Yeah. So making sure, and we have, especially on the farm, there's quite a few regulations of if we bring things in from certain places, they have to quarantine for a certain amount of time before we can take cuttings for them or we can ship them. So it's all very, very tight. So to make sure we aren't spreading diseases across borders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that people would realize that it's very almost like laboratory, technology and precautions and procedures, right, to protect plants and that things we want to, unfortunately the boxwood tree moth got away but there's been lots of programs to try and control it and prevent it from going elsewhere. So yeah, and we never know what the next thing is around the corner. Well, you guys might know. Us regular people don't know.
We hope we don't know.
I know. I know. Boxwood blight has been enough, right? And I worry because I feel like okay, you need to start working on a replacement for yews because everybody's now replacing boxwoods with yews. I was always a yew person more than a boxwood person in my designs. I just loved yews, even in my own home. But I'm like, something's going to come for them, and right. So we always have to be kind of one step ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a
Yes.
whole team working on it, so hopefully we can.
Oh, good. That's good. Good. So in addition, are there any other plants that you really want to give a shout out to for this growing season?
One, it's not new. We launched it, I guess last year would have been its maiden voyage. It is Rudbeckia Solar Sisters. I'm really excited about this plant because of its flowers. Most people don't realize that it's a Rudbeckia, that they think it's a mum or something in that other world. But the color on it is just amazing. And it is a zone 7, which I know is not necessarily for you guys, but it would look amazing in a pot for a season. And it just keeps flowering all season long. So into the fall, you're still getting all these beautiful, rich colors, which is so great to see. And yeah, we've had so much attention on this one because of its unique flower shape, or flower form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a lot of fun. It's my personal favorite right now.
Excellent. Now, will it be in Ontario Garden Centers as an annual? Like, do you also then, if it's a plant that's not not in the zone as a perennial, is that how you can mitigate that?
Yes. So we essentially say that it's an annual for cooler climates. So the garden center should be putting it in the annuals section. That is where you should be able to find it. But if it's in the the perennial section, just make sure you check the tag so you know what you're getting into.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So if our listeners go to the website and see some perennials that they like, but see that they're zone 7 or 11, that they actually should be able to ask for them in their as an annual.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So in addition to, the propagating and all of the, behind the scenes of the plant, and then by the time it makes it to our local garden centers, you also have a lot of support, don't you? And like marketing programs that you kind of offer the garden centers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we of course have an entire suite of in-store POP, point of purchase materials, so posters, A-frames, bench tape, all of those things, which are available through our website. You can get to our Pro website. Just up on the top right corner, there's a Pro login. So if you are a garden center or someone who needs access to any of our assets, you are more than welcome to sign up. We just manually approve everyone. So if you are part of a garden center or someone within our industry, then you are approved. And then you can take any of those assets, photos or whatever, and use them for your own marketing purposes. And then within all of that is where all of our POP is available. So we have that for in-store displays. We do some custom work with some of our bigger partners. Often garden centers will want to do some sort of additional program around certain plants. So we'll work with them to make that happen. And then we have done, for a few years, we've done garden center events. So someone from our team, myself or one of our sales team members, will come out and kind of host a day at the garden center and just do product knowledge training for your staff and for your customers.
Excellent, excellent. And Scott did tell me about that at Landscape Ontario. And I think that's really important. I think it's good for the new staff. Like you said, they're temporary. There's some that are there from year to year, but it's seasonal and they may only work at the garden center that summer.
Yeah.
And so, but as homeowners, you want to go to a garden center and know that somebody can answer your questions and tell you more about the plants. So, and I think Miss Diggs, I said, even knowing that knowledge that you can, pull up your phone and go to Miss Diggs on your phone. Now, is it an app that you download?
No, she's through our website. So if you just go to the website at the top header, there'll be an Ask Miss Diggs.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's good. So I hope we educated everybody today to see how plant, you use the word genetics, get from the geneticists that are kind of creating new plants or improving plants, existing plants, and make their way to Canada. And Van Bell is, part of the the owner of Bloomin Easy Plants. And I love that they're identified by the blue pots as well. So they're easy. And I think our Canadian listeners can know that those were grown in Canada and for our climate. So I think that's a good thing to do and to know, because I know when I look at the Facebook groups, I kind of keep a pulse of what questions are people asking and where their plants come from. And because we all want to succeed. And I think it does start with buying a good quality plant, and then grounders need to put in some work, but but I love that that information is on the tag. Because tags are a little controversial because it's plastic, right? So it's kind of like, oh, do we need a plant? When I go to the grower and I'm picking up a whole bunch of, I'm like, does every pot need a tag? Like and so it's kind of one of those things. But yes, they are. It's great to know that they have valuable information to help our new gardeners be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, and we try really hard to load our tags with as much information as possible in the easiest terms possible. So I know even zones, people are like, what is a zone? So we also have the actual temperatures of what that zone means. So even though you may not know you're zone 6, but your winters, you never get colder than -30. So those aren't the right zones. That doesn't line up. Don't take that for.
Yes. Yeah.
So we try to make it as easy as possible. So if you are in a garden center and you have no help or you don't want to talk to anyone, because I get that too, I would prefer just to do my own thing. You can answer all of your questions right on the tag.
Yeah, that's perfect. I should really do a show on growing zones because I think most people just starting out may not know. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And a garden center could have a variety of zones sometimes we push, and sometimes that works for a couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
we get a bad year.
Yeah,
So
the growing zones are a huge topic that I think garden centers, a lot of our garden centers out here do have a sign saying we're in a zone 6, just to share that information. But if you are unsure, I've been traveling places and looking at plants, and I can just Google what zone is this city in this country, and then
right.
it just pops up. So it is an easy, quick
Yes.
search, but it is good to know kind of the finer details of all of that.
Yeah, because the zones have changed recently as well. So
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you're still a 6.
I know, but we do get, because we are closer to the coast, so we do get some of those frigid temperatures coming through.
Okay.
And even on our site, so we're actually, there's 4 sites within a couple blocks of each other. Here, one site is really close to a cliff, and it is way more protected, so some of them are tender crops and do really, really well there. Where if they were out here where we are, it's an opener space, and if that chill wind comes through, it'll just wipe them all out. So even within your own neighborhood, you can have different zones. So there's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it. And so that is hope for our new gardeners who think they can't grow anything or think they have black thumbs. I get that a lot, right? I can't grow anything. I have a black thumb. Well, really, it's not you. There's a joke about the plant should have tried a little harder, but aside from that, but really there's a lot that goes into it, right? And so I'm hoping that this helps our listeners and new gardeners and even experienced gardeners, look for some new varieties and to know that they are hardy and just the history of how they've been created, which I just find a bit of a plant geek. I find fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could share, and it's a lot of fun. The whole process from start to end has been a really fun experience.
Excellent. Is there anything else that we missed or that you want to share with our listeners?
I think that's all the things. Oh, if you are looking for retailers near you that are selling Bloomin Easy Plants, on our website there is a Find a Retailer map, so you can just pop in your address and see who's closest to you.
Perfect. That is a perfect way to end the show. So yeah, so you are curious about who is growing the few plants that we've talked about, and I will have the website on our show notes. It's bloomingeasy.com, right? No G in the easy, or no G in the blooming, right?
Yeah.
BloominEasyPlants.com, but I will have that on the show notes. So if you want to look at the new varieties that are being released this year, and you can also research which retailer near you is going to have them available. So that's exciting.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you very much, Maddie, for joining me here down the garden path. And I hope we can speak again in the future.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.